So Ryan, I'm not sure if you're hearing this as often as I am, but constantly I am hearing buyers say, I want to wait for the market to tank, or prices are going to come down. It's going to be so cheap to buy. So when I hear that, a couple of things happen in my mind. So I'm just curious, have you been hearing that as well?
Oh, yes, definitely. They actually asked a group of real estate agents in a room who has buyers who are going to wait this out and see what happens. And basically every single agent in the room raised their hand saying, yes, this is the mantra of all buyers right now.
Right. So I think it's our job to kind of break it down and make sure that consumers have all the information to really make the right decision for them. Right. So when I hear people say, I'm waiting to see what happens in the market, it sounds to me like their biggest concern is not wanting to spend too much money. They're caring about their bottom line and they're caring about how much money they're spending on the front end. So in order for that to make sense, in order for someone to say, I'm going to wait, they're making an assumption that prices are going to come down and their monthly payments are going to be cheaper. I think that's an assumption that they're making. Would you agree?
I agree. I think it's a
Okay.
misnomer that they're looking at sales price and not payment, because if we look at what interest rates will possibly do, we'll have to see what makes the most sense in their situation.
Right. Because a key factor here is prices have come down. They've come down since March to the tune of 22.5%, which is really drastic, honestly. So in order for that to have happened, though, there was an outside force. There was the rise in interest rate, which is a key piece in this conversation because it's going to directly affect a buyer. So if prices continue to come down, let's assume, they have to come down drastically in order to make up for the difference of the interest rate rise, which I think is the biggest disconnect with buyers. So I think it would be a good idea for us to kind of touch on those numbers. So I'm going to pull a couple up right now, a couple of different scenarios, and I would love it if you could kind of talk about them.
Perfect.
So let's take a look. I'll let you take it away, Ryan.
Okay, great. So basically what we did here is broke down a few different scenarios of what if prices go down and what if interest rates go up, because that's going to be the most probable if this is to happen. I don't personally think that we're going to see interest rates, but we're trying to go with worst case scenario in regards to what could happen in the future.
Right.
And so what we compared was I did a 1.2 purchase price, because that's where kind of the median prices are here in Santa Cruz right now, with a 20% down scenario. So what we did is we show today a 6.5 interest rate on a 960,000 is about $6,067 per month. So then what we did is we said, okay, what if prices were to drop 10%, but then interest rates went up by 1%, which then actually the price per month is $6,041. So it's only $26 difference per month. Then we took it a step further and dropped it down to a 20% decrease and had rates go up to 8.5, and it came out to $59.05. So basically it's almost the same amount of payment as if you were to buy today, or if you waited and this was worst case scenario. So to me, it doesn't make sense to wait, because it almost net comes out to about the same.
And there's a couple of key differences, right? Right now, the market is not saturated with as many buyers because the cost of purchase is more expensive. So I'm sure you remember back in March, talking with buyers, they're like, I just want any opportunity for leverage, just something, some type of negotiation option, because they just didn't have it at the time. And so now that's where we're at. The buyers now have an opportunity to actually negotiate. And if this is as historically it has been, this is a cycle, right? And so right now, these buyers have an opportunity that they could be taking advantage of. And financially, looking at these numbers, look, you may want to take advantage of this opportunity because it's going to go away eventually.
Yeah, definitely. The whole inspection thing, that, to have the opportunity to do inspections on the property and see what's there. I remember a few years ago, I was buying a house and I walked through the house and I was like, wow, this house is awesome. I'm super excited. This is great. My dad's a general contractor. I brought him through the house and he went into one of the bedrooms and he said, look at right there. There's actually water coming into the house and going across the floor of the house. I did not even see that because it was August when we were looking at a house.
Right.
And, he saved me on something like that where, having an inspection done these days would
Yeah.
be huge.
Huge, huge, huge. And on top of that too, given this scenario, rather than waiting with the hope that prices are going to drop so dramatically that it's going to make some type of impact on your monthly payment, you could have been paying down your principal. You could have been putting your money back towards you, honestly, or even possibly be gaining some equity. So I just feel like buyers and consumers really need this additional information to make an informed decision. So you can say, okay, if this house that pops up that meets my needs, it seems like if it's affordable to me now, it seems like right now might be the right time. And I just want to make sure that people have all the information to really make an informed decision. But
Yep.
let's make
But
another assumption.
you
Go
actually
ahead.
brought up a great point there on renting. If you're renting right now, you wait 6 months, then you've just spent $18,000 more on rent, to where you're just, by waiting, you also have that cost factored in that I hadn't thought about. So great point.
Exactly. So let's make another assumption. We've talked about the fact that we have dropped significantly since the peak in March, right? There was a 22.5% drop. So we've already seen a dramatic drop. Now, when we think about the worst case scenario, right, back in the 2008 housing bubble, when there was fraud happening and a number of other factors that were directly impacting this kind of crazy situation, right now we're in a cycle that's, I would consider a healthy cycle, right? This is just the ebb and flow that comes with the markets. Now we've already had a 22.5% drop in price. Can we really expect that much more when we consider back in 2008, we saw a 30% drop at the bottom. At the worst time, it was a 30% drop. So how much further do we really think that the prices here are going to go? And even when you consider that, even when you consider a 30% drop, this is what that looks like in terms of your monthly payment. And I just want to outline as well, this 30% is from today, right? So the baseline is from today when we have already had a 22.5% drop. So that's over a 50% drop. And I'm just going to assume that's not going to happen. But why don't you walk us through this, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's go worst case scenario. So like, for example, again, a 30% drop, but then let's increase the interest rate, because I think it would require something like that, which would be a 9.5 interest rate that we're using here, which then equates to a 5,650 payment. So 5,650, which when you compare it to the other $6,000 a month payment, or 6,050, it's about a $400 savings per month. But still, in the whole scheme of things, as far as real estate goes, dropping that much, I don't think it's going to happen. But $400 isn't that much these days. It's half of a car payment these days. So the chances of trying to hold on and keep your fingers crossed that that's going to happen, not positive that that's going to happen. And the 2008 price reductions was due to people couldn't afford the homes. So it was people who were doing stated income loans. It was foreclosures. It was bank short sales. It was banks taking on too much real estate that they just wanted to offload it as quick as possible. And that's why prices were so low back then. And I don't think that's this market at all.
Right. This market right now is part of the cycle where, okay, we're combating inflation. We're going to go, we're just going to go around in this cycle, and we're going to come back to the point again where prices begin to rise, interest rates are going to go down again, and buyers are going to be in a highly competitive situation where you're going to have less negotiation power. So it's like, choose your hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yep. Interest rates are a little bit higher, but when you look at the actual numbers, your bottom line actually evens out, in my opinion. And you have more opportunity now, which I think is so important for people to realize.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today's update. So we'll catch you next time, Ryan. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Great seeing you.